Yah, please fill me with the Ruach HaKodesh, that I may speak your written words with boldness to those who listen. I ask all these things in Yeshua HaMashiach's name, amen. We'll start with the Shema, listen and obey. Children of Yah, pay careful attention and respond. Yud-He Vad-He is our power and authority. Yahweh works in unity with himself, and you shall act upon your love to Yahweh with your power and authority, with your thoughts in mind, with your entire body, and with all the muchness that you have. Galatians chapter 2. Then, after 14 years, I again went up to Jerusalem, this time with Barnabas, and I took with me Titus. I went up in obedience to a revelation, and I explained to them the good news as I proclaim it among the Gentiles, but privately to the acknowledged leaders. I did this out of concern that my current or previous work might have been in vain. But they didn't force my Gentile companion Titus to undergo Brit Milah. Indeed, the question came up only because some men who pretended to be brothers had been sneaked in. They came in superstitiously to spy out the freedom we have in the Messiah Yeshua, so that they might enslave us. Not even for a minute did we give in to them, so that the truth of the good news might be preserved for you. Moreover, those who were the acknowledged leaders, what they were making no difference to me. God does not judge by outward appearances. These leaders added nothing to me. On the contrary, they saw that I had been entrusted with the good news for the uncircumcised, just as Kepha had been for the circumcised. Since the one working in Kepha to make him an emissary to the circumcised had worked in me to make me an emissary to the Gentiles, so having perceived what grace had been given to me, Yaakov, Kepha, and Yochanan, the acknowledged pillars of the community, extended to me and Barnabas the right hand of fellowship, so that we might go to the Gentiles, and they to the circumcised. Their only request was that we should remember the poor, which very thing I spared no pains to do. Furthermore, when Kepha came to Antioch, I opposed him publicly because he was clearly in the wrong. For prior to the arrival of certain people from the community headed by Yaakov, he had been eating with the Gentile believers. But when they came, he withdrew and separated himself, because he was afraid of the fraction who favored circumcised Gentile believers. And the other Jewish believers became hypocrites along with him, so that even Barnabas was led astray by their hypocrisy. But when I saw that they were not walking on a straight path, keeping in line with the truth of the good news, I said to Kepha, right in front of everyone, if you, who are a Jew, live like a Gentile and not like a Jew, why are you forcing the Gentiles to live like Jews? We are Jews by birth, not so-called Gentile sinners. Even so, we have come to realize that a person is not declared righteous by God on the ground of his legalistic observance of Torah commands, but through the Messiah Yeshua's trusting faithfulness. Therefore, we too have put our trust in Messiah Yeshua and have become faithful to him, in order that we might be declared righteous on the ground of Messiah's trusting faithfulness and not on the ground of our legalistic observance of Torah commands. For on the ground of legalistic observance of Torah commands, no one will be declared righteous. But if in seeking to be declared righteous by God through our union with the Messiah, we ourselves are indeed found to be sinners, then in the Messiah an aider and abetter of sin? Heaven forbid. Indeed, if I build up against the legalistic bondage which I destroyed, I really do make myself a transgressor. For it was through letting the Torah speak for itself that I died to its traditional legalistic misinterpretations, so that I might live in direct relationship with God. When the Messiah was executed on the stake as a criminal, I was too, so that my proud ego no longer lives, but the Messiah lives in me. In the life I now live in my body, I live by the same trusting faithfulness that the Son of God had, who loved me and gave himself up for me. I do not reject God's gracious gift, for if the way in which one attains righteousness is through legalism, then the Messiah's death was pointless. Shaul pulls from Psalm 143:2. No one will be declared righteous. Psalm 143. Psalm 143. Do not bring your servant to trial, since in the sight of no one alive would be considered righteous. How can we learn to love our Creator after reading Galatians chapter 2? We can learn a lot. Know that if Shaul had revelations and acted in obedience to them, then you might have them as well and act on them. Know that if Shaul of all people checks on how he shares the good news, then it might be wise if we do the same. Aim to share the good news humbly. Trust that there is freedom in the Messiah Yeshua. Aim to preserve the good news of Messiah Yeshua. Aim to be like Shaul and be entrusted with the good news. Know that some are called to share the good news to the circumcised, and some are called to share the good news to the uncircumcised. Aim to remember the poor. Aim to eat and have fellowship with all people. Aim to walk on a straight path, keeping in line with the truth of the good news. Trust that Yah declares righteous on the ground of trusting faithfulness in Yeshua the Messiah. Aim to become and remain faithful to Yeshua the Messiah. Seek to be declared righteous by Yah the Father through our union with the Son, Messiah Yeshua. Aim to live in direct relationship with Yah. Trust that Messiah lives in us who trust in him. Aim to have the same trusting faithfulness that the Son of God had, who loves us and gave himself up for us. Accept God's gracious gift. How can we love others as Yeshua loves us? We can aim to share the good news humbly. Produce spiritual fruit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, humility, and self-control. How can we bear one another's burdens? We can aim to lead others. We can aim to help lead others to remain faithful to Yeshua. And with the Aaronic blessing, Yud-He Vav-He will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with a hedge of protection. Yahweh will illuminate the wholeness of his being toward you, bringing order, and he will provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahweh will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you and will set in place all you need to be whole and complete. Amen.